In today's video, we are going to visit a real mud volcano. Let's go! Hey there! I am along the main road from Surabaya to Malang. Surabaya is behind me and Malang is in front of me. And this is the location of a mud volcano. I will show you first how it looks like now. It's a dam. That's about it. And a little bit towards the south, there's a place where I can go up with my motorcycle and have a closer look. So that's what I'm going to do. Just behind this dam is a huge mud flow caused by drilling for oil and gas that went wrong over 15 years ago now. Sare?
Masuk 20.000.
20.
Ya, bawa ke atas.
So, how does it look now? It smells like sulfur. It's pretty dry. In the distance, about a kilometer away from here, is the main funnel, still spewing steam and mud after over 15 years. They started very late May 2006 and has never stopped. The area smells of fresh clay kids used to play in the school, and that's also what actually comes out of the mud volcano here. It's all clay, salt, heavy metals. There's no oil popping up here. There's only gas and mud coming out of the several craters. And the main one is right over there, about a kilometer away from here. Later on I'll drive around this lake, man-made lake, and visit it from the other side. So what we're going to do is drive around on this dam. We will follow it all the way around. There's a pasture village, and we will follow it slightly this way, and we will be on the other side. So we can have a look at the steam clouds flaring up from the south. This is the north. We might see some remaining village there as well. A few years ago there were still signs. It's subsiding, so it's always changing. So we're going to find out soon. I'm going to follow him, a local who used to live here, according to his story. Cannot verify. We're going to drive all the way around and then end up near the crater. I think it's okay. While I drive to the other side of this muddy lake, I want to show you some pictures of how this area looked just over a year into the disaster. I visited this location in late 2007 for the first time and made a bunch of pictures back then. The dusty track we used to reach these few trees used to be a village road. the only path that hasn't been recreated because of the mud flow, as it was located slightly higher. Beyond this point, it's all dried up mud that originated from the mud volcano at one point in its now 15-year history. Many parts of it are dry and dusty, especially during the dry season. But if it rains, the area becomes dangerously slippery. The mud can be compared to fresh ash from a regular volcano. How I know? Oh well, I have done more strange things back in those days. In 2010, I found myself in an ash rain from the Mount Merapi volcano, at only a few kilometers from the summit in an area that was declared a danger zone and had a mandatory evacuation order. But back to this volcano now. The pictures in the overlays are all made in October 2007, some 17 months into the disaster. We are now over 15 years into this mud volcano producing mud, steam and smells. Some more of its history and pictures I will add later in the video. Panas.
10.000 Pak ya, maksudnya pengambilan gambarnya.
Oh.
Dari mana?
Dari Jakarta.
Jakarta.
Dari Pak?
Kampung saya ini, bawahnya rumah.
Di bawah semua ya?
Iya.
Kalau yang dulu masih kelihatan atap-atapnya,
Iya.
udah hilang semua ya?
Nggak kelihatan.
Udah hilang semua ya?
Masuknya 10.000, ya. Biar diterangkan nih kaitnya nanti. Uangnya tebet.
Oh,
Kasih.
ya.
Ya.
Oh, tapi hilang semua ya?
Karena apa? Kan tambah lama kelamaan kan tambah tinggi.
Ah, tanahnya turun, lumpurnya
Iya, tambah tinggi,
naik.
tanahnya itu tambah tinggi, akhirnya rumah nggak nampak, terendam semua. Nah ini kedalaman kurang lebih 20 meter
20 meter ya?
dari tanah asli.
These plains here is all mud from the volcano. It is salty, mixed with sulfur, some gas, as well as a lot of heavy metals, cadmium, lithium. This area is uninhabited and can't be used for anything like agriculture or forestry anymore because of the levels of contaminations now. I set up a camera towards the, well, it's not really a summit, source of the mud volcano, and let it run to give you an idea of how it looks today. Then I was to add in pictures from how it looked back in the time, but I noticed during editing that it is possible to actually see the mud jumping from the main source of the volcano. I didn't really see this during filming this, since it was a scorching hot afternoon with bright sun. So this turned out much better than I hoped for. I will still add some pictures from back in the day though. Back in 2007, the eruption of this mud volcano was still relatively new. Embankments were constructed in a hurry. The mud would break through and new embankments would be built around it. The level of the mud also was still fairly low. Nowadays it reaches almost to the top of the newest embankments, while earlier embankments have been completely submerged by now. Any remains of houses and other buildings that were still visible in 2007 have been completely submerged by now as well. There are only a few exceptions, like a two-story mosque that is still partially visible, but no longer in use. Some of the mud still looks fresh, but this is merely because of the fact that the mud absorbs water when it rains, making it very soggy over and over. The white dome in the distance is that two-story mosque that's no longer in use. The pictures in the overlay date back to 2007, when I visited the village that has now been submerged completely by the mud. Those chunks are pretty big. Look at that. When it's raining, it'll flood again and not be possible. I'm doing it with one hand, not really smart. When it's raining, it will get flooded here. It will become really slippery mud compared to volcanic ash. I have experienced that, so I know what they mean. The heavy equipment was and is used for some remediation efforts, but they have failed, of course, otherwise there wouldn't be a big mud flat here. All the stuff that's been here for 15 years. This might resemble a nature reserve, but it is still at the site of an ongoing mud volcano. 15 years after it all started, life is trying hard to come back. There are numerous birds, and grass and shrubs are growing here as well. There is almost no human activity though, outside these little tours that I did today. Okay, let's continue to jump back over the embankments that hold back the mud. The unpaved path is quite bumpy, but because I'm using a GoPro, that's not very visible. From the embankments on the southern side, the plume of steam is clearly visible. It seems that there are several different vents, but this is seen as one source of geothermal activity by local and international scientists. This is all that remains from the toll road that used to run here. It ends towards the left, has now been redirected to the south and the west. Used to run here on a viaduct right to the heart of the mud flow area.